Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about Ubisoft again today. I know, we're beating on a dead horse this week, but we got some more stuff to talk about. Only this time it's not about Star Wars Outlaws, it's about our favorite black samurai. Anyway, let's cue up the music and we'll get right to it. Alright, so Assassin's Creed Shadows Backlash prompts academic Thomas Lockley to defend his black samurai narrative. Yasuke was a hero in Japan, according to him. Now, in response to growing backlash to his role in inspiring Assassin's Creed Shadows narrative, academic Thomas Lockley is standing behind his claim that the historical Yasuke was not just a retainer to Oda Nobunaga, but a full-on samurai. An English-born scholar currently employed as an associate law professor at Japan's Nihon University, Lockley is perhaps best known as the author of 2019 book African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, wherein he puts forth the claim based on his own informed research-based assumptions. Let that one sink in. Rather than any factual historical documents, that the historical Yasuke was not a mere retainer to Oda Nobunaga, but a full-blown samurai in his own right. Informed research-based assumptions. My father, what I would say is something to him about assuming something, right? Let's say I was a kid and I did something without asking. Well, that I assumed it would be okay. My father would say, you know what assume means? You made an ass out of you and me. And I remember that. That's one of those, I got a lot. My dad was like full of these dad things, right? He was good with that kind of stuff. And I'll be damned if it didn't stick with me 50, I'm in my 50s now. And, I still think of that. I'm like, yeah, I get it, So his informed research-based assumption. So basically he just, made stuff up, right? He just made it up. Well, I assume that was like that because it's, it's my informed research-based assumption. Yeah. You made stuff up, Lockley. That's all there is to it. In light of Ubisoft's recent decision to base their next Assassin's Creed title partly on Lockley's narrative, the academic has recently found himself under fire from not Japanese players, but the nation's politicians as well, with some having even gone as far to call for an official cultural investigation into his claims. Yikes. To this end, Lockley was pressed for his thoughts on the backlash to both his work and Shadow's decision to take inspiration from it by the eponymous host of Lance E. Lee podcast in Tokyo during an appearance on the 364th episode of the Japanese culture-centric show. I've had some nasty comments on my Facebook page, said the academic. I've decided to take down all my family photos from my Facebook page. All right, Thomas. I'm sorry about that, personally. I mean, not that I did any of it, but Facebook and all that, that's your family, and that sucks that people made nasty comments on your Facebook page. I think Facebook is horrible. I really do. I think it's one of the worst things we ever invented in the history of humanity, right next to, the neutron bomb. But, yeah, it's bad. It's bad that, people are going to come out there and lash out at you. They're going to threaten you. They're going to threaten your family. The internet brings out the worst of humanity, and I don't like that. I don't want to see, I don't want to see this guy threatened. I don't want to see his family threatened, made fun of, mocked, or anything like that. That's not right. But I'd like to see Lockley held accountable for, his little fan fiction here about Yasuke, and be held accountable for what he said, and have to, answer questions and whatever else Japan wants out of him, because, you want to make up something, you want to revise history. Well, you got to own it, brother. You got to own it. You got to admit you did it. Even if it's just a matter of saying, you know what, yeah, I made this up. I thought it would be a great story, whatever. Sorry, let's all move on. And you move on, Then everybody can say, look, I was right. See, he's a jerk off, but whatever. He admitted it, so we're cool. Let's move on. It's not the end of the world. Asked by Lee whether if any of these comments had come from anyone actually from Japan, Lockley admitted, to be honest with you, yes, a few from Japanese, though this is the first time that I've had anything controversial from Japanese people about Yasuke. Yasuke is seen as a hero in Japan. Even in the 70s, he was a hero, and he's only gotten bigger. I'm not going to say what some of these comments are, but they're not very nice, he explained to his host. And it's English. Almost all these comments are blog postings or massive amounts of stuff on YouTube, myself included. Some of them are not necessarily directed at me per se. It's the idea that it... And I decided not to give them credence by watching, but I get reports from some people. I've got some beautiful messages on Instagram and things from people I don't know saying, you must be having a hard time at the moment. Keep fighting the good fight kind of thing. And I'm not fighting any fight, but it's lovely to have people, just random strangers, showing support. Yeah, there's the internet for you. That's the other side of the internet. People that will just kiss your ass for no apparent reason, just because, I don't know, some weird sense of loyalty, whether it be to an individual, a company, a government, or whatever. That's the other side of the internet, the other dark side of the internet. One side's going to wish death on you. The other side's going to be like, oh, I love you and support you no matter how wrong you are. It's all disingenuous. Continuing, Lockley affirmed, personally, I think Yasuke was a man and he deserves to be given respect for what he did, which was absolutely amazing. Now, nobody's arguing that Yasuke was a man. And here's what really bugs me about this whole thing. And again, I've said this before and I will say it again and I will repeat it again. If you're arguing about this game, okay, and the fact that Yasuke is the protagonist, it doesn't matter whether or not he was a samurai. He could have been the greatest samurai of all times. He could have been, for all I care. And it still would have sucked if they used him, because you don't go to Japan, you don't go to feudal Japan in the 1500s to play as a black character with hip-hop music playing in the background when you're fighting and, just beating the shit out of people with this huge club. I mean, it's silly. So, it's the idea, the concept of, why did they take an outsider? Why did they take a black person and make him the lead character there? There's no logical reason for it. There's nothing you can say that would back it up other than it is a diversity hire, quote unquote, so to speak, right? Yasuke is a diversity hire. They did it to gain DEI points in the grand scheme of things, because Ubisoft is known to be ultra woke. Everything's gay now, everything's, messed up and weird and all that, and everybody's, and here we go, we're in Japan. You couldn't have given us a Japanese samurai, you gave us Yasuke instead. And it's just silly. The argument doesn't need to go any further than that. Whether or not he was a samurai doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he was a retainer, doesn't matter if he was an entertainer, a slave, whatever he was, he doesn't deserve to lead this game, okay? Absolutely 100% doesn't deserve that, because he was not Japanese. This is a game that was looking to explore Japan in that era. What better person to do it than someone Japanese, born and raised there, who went through everything it takes to become a samurai? No, we have this guy. It's a clown show. So anybody who wants to argue, well, it was real and all that, I don't care. It absolutely doesn't matter. And I don't care if you think he was a samurai. And I don't care how many books Lockley writes saying he was. I don't care if they unearth some kind of mysterious tome tomorrow that says he was. He's still a terrible choice for a protagonist. Very divisive, and Ubisoft's a garbage company for doing it. All right. But to come from the other side of the world in difficult circumstances that we're not exactly sure were, and to rise to the top of another country's culture and be at the side of the greatest ruler of the time at his death, fighting at his death, loyal to the end, he added. It's an amazing story, and I think we should give somebody like that the credit they deserve. Well, if you want to tell the story, but as a video game character, it's garbage. Okay? And rising to the top of another country's culture, I don't think that's what Yasuke did, brother. Okay? You may want to use your, what did you call it again? Your, here it is. Informed research-based assumption. That's what that sounds like there. He didn't rise to the top, okay? That's just something that you say, and that's how the narrative that you're pushing. And he's got a cool story. He deserved to tell his story, but he doesn't deserve to be elevated into something he's not. These are the same people that elevate George Floyd into a saint because, he was chewing on a speedball when he got pulled over, asked to be restrained, got restrained, and then ended up overdosing, and then everyone thought, they could burn down a country for a summer because of this one criminal act and this one loser. But let's get back to the subject at hand here. Turning back to the specific topic of Shadows, the African samurai author then asserted, I don't know whether the game Assassin's Creed should have him as the main character, or it should have somebody else as the main character. Quite frankly, I don't care. I have nothing to do with it. Don't attack Yasuke. He's very protective of his boy. Asked by Lee, you see no royalties or anything? The academic ultimately affirmed, no, though my book's starting to sell well again, which is nice. However, it should be noted that Lockley's denial regarding his involvement with Assassin's Creed Shadows is categorically false, as he was previously featured as a subject matter expert on the Yasuke, the first African samurai episode of Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed-centric history podcast, Echoes of History. Ooh. So yeah, this game's coming out November 12th. We'll be seeing it in a few months. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think, what do you think of Lockley here? I mean, is it time to just be like, all right, look, yeah, he probably wasn't a samurai. I exaggerated things and all that. I wrote a great book because of it, and it sold a lot, and people are interested in it, and created a lot of discourse and all that. I wonder if if Assassin's Creed Shadows wasn't released with Yasuke as the lead, right? If it just used a normal Japanese soldier or samurai as the lead character, would Lockley be under this kind of scrutiny, and would people be picking apart his story so much? It's just a niche book maybe before that, and people bought it and read it and said, oh, okay, this is kind of cool or interesting or whatever. Other people read it and was like, well, this is a bunch of horseshit. I mean, that's possible. It seems like this book really, or this game really exposed him, and it kind of makes him look a little bit like a fraud. I'm not going to lie. It's, it's pretty bad, brother. Just come out there and admit you were wrong. You admit you made things up. Admit, be an adult. Say, hey, I even went on Wikipedia and tried to alter stuff with a different name because, I wanted to feed my narrative and make it seem more, true. I mean, god dang, dude. We've all made mistakes. Things can be forgiven and moved on, but once you start doubling and tripling down and you won't ever admit that you were wrong, well, then I lose all respect for you, and I got no respect for Lockley. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you buying Assassin's Creed Shadows when it comes out? And if you are you pre-ordering that fat, juicy $140 version of this game that's going to suck? Or are you going to sit on the sidelines and, just let this one go by? Maybe pick it up on a steep sale later on, or play it on Ubisoft Plus later or something like that. I don't know. I'm out. Please leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications. I will see you all next time. Until then, peace.